All right, we have more changes unfolding in the world of geopolitics, changes that have the Yemen government coming out over the weekend and warning the United States and its allies that they need to back off and stop the bombing of its land, or you'll face one of the worst attacks that you've seen in recent history, saying their Houthis know where the cables are for your digital infrastructure, how they pass right through our backyard, they said, right through the Red Sea, and they're not afraid to cut them. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. And make sure to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving these regular updates. Also, don't forget to check out our new daily show over on the NotifyAmerica YouTube channel. The link's in the description. How the Houthis could get revenge on the US for airstrikes by cutting a fifth of the world's internet. Yemen's government warns of threat to world's digital infrastructure. That's the headline. And look, you hear about this kind of thing like once a year or every other year. Whenever a conflict seems to pop up, people start warning about these like massive underwater fiber optic cables being cut. But this time, it's not just speculation. This time, the Yemen government came out and is openly warning the world, tell the United States to back off, or the Houthis will cut the lines. Obviously, not only affecting the US, but affecting a fifth of the world's internet. Think of like the consequences of that, though, like the type of flash crash, possibly, or prolonged maybe crash that you'd see in markets if 20% of the world's digital infrastructure went offline. Now, just for some context, before we look at this, as they gave specifics on how they're capable of doing this, by the way, but just for some context, here's what we're talking about. These undersea fiber optic cables that stretch around the world, here's what they look like. A simple 1 to 2 inch cable like this is what maintains our global digital infrastructure, folks. And here's the problem. It's not like power lines here in the States when a storm comes and knocks down a telephone pole where it would only affect one tiny area, one block, or a tiny portion of a community. Instead, if what Yemen is warning about comes to pass, we're talking 17% of the world's digital infrastructure immediately taken offline. All US military bases and substations in the Middle East go dark instantly. No warning, no time to prepare. US service people over there would be sitting ducks, completely cut off. And what makes it even scarier is the Houthis appear to know what they're doing. Their military did their due diligence, apparently, and released this map with the warning showing how the cables that run through the Red Sea, right through their backyard, how they know that they aren't just these secondary or tertiary cables. They could have posted pictures of all the cables, but they didn't. They focused on one of only a handful of these fiber optic lines, core cables, that happen to connect entire continents to the grid. For example, here's all the underwater cable, right? Many of these that you see on this map are secondary or tertiary lines connecting parts of countries, less significant, less damage, but then there are the core cables that connect not just countries, but entire continents, which happens to be what runs right through the Red Sea, right through Yemen's backyard. Basically, it turns out they're in one of the most strategically vital locations to cause maximum damage if they want to. And they just delivered a warning to the Biden administration, back the hell off. Stop bombing us or we'll do it. Here's what they say, quote, Iranian-backed Houthi militants in Yemen could try to sabotage internet cables in the Red Sea, carrying nearly 1/5 of the world's web traffic, according to a spate of new warnings. Yemen's government warned that the Red Sea is one of the 3 most important meeting points for cables on the globe, and that the Houthis pose a serious threat to one of the most important digital infrastructures in the world. It came after a Houthi social media channel published a map showing the routes of various cables through the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, and the Arabian Sea. So this official Houthi account posted this map, right? But was also accompanied, they say, with this ominous message saying this, quote, it seems that Yemen is in a strategic location as internet lines that connect entire continents, not only countries, pass near it. Now, we're going to look at the likelihood of them doing this in a minute, because that's what some people are saying, that they aren't sophisticated enough technologically to actually pull this off, to reach the cables. Well, it turns out they are, But just to show you who we're dealing with, the account that posted that message is an official Houthi account. It's the same account, in fact, that posted this video a month ago telling the world they will not be standing idly by as the U.S. attacks its country. Watch this. So yes, they are a real military. They're not the most sophisticated military in the world, but they've managed to completely shut down the Red Sea, stop all maritime shipping through the Suez Canal, something that Western leaders said they wouldn't be able to do. So maybe, just maybe, it's worth listening for a change to what they're saying. Now they go on and write, quote, "It's estimated that 17% of global internet traffic travels via underwater fiber optic cables in the Red Sea. The average depth of the Red Sea is 450 meters, but some are at depths of as little as 100 meters. There are 16 cables passing through, including a sprawling 15,000-mile long one called Asia-Africa-Europe 1, AAE1, which supplies broadband to Asia and Europe, which is this cable right here, the one that we showed, or that they showed on the map that they released. It connects a litany of countries, including France, Italy, Greece, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, India, and Pakistan. Notice, though, which country it doesn't include. Iran, which is important as the Houthis are a proxy state of Iran, or a proxy of Iran. If Iran was included in this list of countries, I think it would be less likely that they would actually do this, but they're not. They go on and say this: Yemen's information minister said that the Houthis were now making serious threats to the global communications sector and economy. He added, "We are facing an unruly group. Its bad behavior has no ceiling or limits, and its crime exceeds all expectations." This is a government official, by the way, Yemen's information minister, telling us not to underestimate these people. They're capable of doing it. They have the means to do it. They have the motive to do it, saying Yemen's general telecommunications company said it had in recent years urged global internet providers not to do anything that would enable the Houthis to get access to the cables or how they work. Now, what's concerning, though, is how Western leaders seem to dismiss these warnings, saying, quote, "So far, the cables have been kept safe, more so by the Houthis' relative technological underdevelopment than for a lack of motivation," Milliken wrote, a Western military analyst. They lack the submersibles necessary to reach the cables. But then they go on to note that severing the cables would cut off the military or government communications. Yeah, it would leave our troops all over the Middle East in the dark. So look, all of this began with October 7th, right? Then the war in Gaza. Those events is what kicked all of this into motion. It led to the Houthis attacking container ships in the Red Sea, which, by the way, we haven't even felt the cost of yet. It led to the U.S. with some of its allies launching Operation Prosperity Guardian in December 2023, 2 months ago, in an effort to keep global shipping routes open, as Yemen's Houthis weren't attacking another military, but instead were targeting these container ships like these, the bread and butter of the global economy. And now it's escalating again, warning that they'll take the global digital infrastructure down. Look, it's why it's so important to always work to keep the peace. The ripple effects from war are insane, and every escalation leads to further escalation. So will they really do this? I have no idea, but what we do know for sure is that there's nothing we can do to stop them from doing it. If someone wants to do this and they have the means to pull it off, it's virtually impossible to detect in time to try and prevent it. Everyone agrees on that. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Also, don't forget to check out my new daily show over on the Notify America YouTube channel. The link's in the description.